Good morning, afternoon, or evening. How y'all doing today? Welcome back to Mr. Morrow's Algebra 1 and 2 class. We are actually my favorite part of algebra. Quadratics, believe it or not, are my favorite part. I don't really know why. Maybe because it's complicated yet easy at the same time. Maybe because I feel cool when I graph these really complicated functions. I don't know. You know, I'm a bit of a math dork, but we're going to continue, and I love it, so hopefully this will be a great lesson for you. Today we're going to be talking about the granddaddy of all formulas for quadratic equations. We know already that if we graph a quadratic equation, which we haven't learned yet how to do it properly, we're going to learn that tomorrow and the next day. But if we graph a quadratic equation, we can see where the x-intercepts are, right? When it goes through, boom, those are my x-intercepts, those are my solutions. Hopefully that's already been ingrained in your head. We can graph it and find the solutions. We can use the square root method, if possible, and find the solutions. We can factor and find the solutions by using the zero product property. Remember, you set both factors equal to 0. That makes sense, right, guys? Remember? And we can complete the square to find the solutions. And when in doubt, no matter what a formula is, no matter how difficult, regardless of if there's decimals or fractions, okay, the master way to do it all when you're in doubt and you don't know what to do is the quadratic formula. Using the quadratic formula, okay, allows you to solve any kind of quadratic equation or function once it's written in standard form. Please remember, standard form of a quadratic function we've gone over, but I'm going to do it again, is ax squared plus bx plus c. So as long as you put it in standard form, you can solve any, and I mean any, quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. The number one question is always, Mr. Morrow, why do we even bother learning the other methods? You're going to see that it's a little bit convoluted. It's a formula. You got to plug things in. When in doubt, when you have to use it, you use it. But if you can factor, you wouldn't use this. You would factor because it's quicker. If you're proficient at completing the square, you wouldn't use this. You would complete the square. If you saw that it was an easy way to solve using the square root method, you use the square root method. This is the last resort, or in a situation where you're saying to yourself, okay, there's no way I can factor this. This completing the square is going to be really ugly because I have decimals as my a, b, and c, and I don't want to complete the square with decimals or fractions. So when you have nowhere left to turn, okay, you use a quadratic formula. In fact, you can use the discriminant, which I will teach you, from the quadratic formula in order to find out how many solutions you will have even before solving the equation. So by using this formula and using the part of the formula that's called a discriminant, you can immediately tell in about 5 seconds, real simple calculations, if there even is going to be a solution. So pretty awesome formula. One can solve, again, any, and I mean any, quadratic equation in standard form by using the quadratic formula, which states all of these letters, guys, are coming from here. Here's your A, here's your B, here's your C. Please remember that always. C is constant. B is what's being multiplied, or the coefficient of x. A is the coefficient of x squared. Please be cognizant of that. And the formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. All of it over 2a. Literally. That's the formula. Memorize it, live it, love it, learn it. So what are the solutions of? Okay, so let's just get to it because there's nothing much to this. Got to put it in standard form. So first subtract 4 to both sides. 2x squared minus x minus 4 equals 0. Some of you may say, Mr. Morrow, maybe I can do it the Cuban method, or maybe I can complete the square. Yes, you're right. Maybe you can. But today, we're just going to focus on quadratic formula. And by the way, you could not do this cubic method, because this would be 2 times negative 4. My new c is negative 8. What times what is negative 8, but when added together is negative 1? Nothing. Now, the key here is to label, 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 label. What's your A here? Beautiful. What's my B? Beautiful. What's my C? Beautiful. If you got that, you got this. No problem. So negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all of it over 2 times A. So let's do it. Negative 1 times negative, that's 1 plus or minus the square root of, I got negative 1 squared, which is 1. Negative 4 times negative 2 is negative 8 times negative 4 is negative 32. Negative 32 plus 1 is negative 31, correct? Right, guys? Okay, it doesn't matter if there's a negative in the square root anymore, does it? No, because what does a negative square root come out as? An I. Very good. So I've got 4. So that's it. I'm done. My solutions of x equal 1 plus or minus I square root of 31 over 4. Now, I want you to understand what this means. You have found 2 solutions, my friend. You have found 1 plus I square root of 31 over 4, and you have found 1 minus I square root of 31 over 4. That's why you have the plus or minus. You do not have to break these up necessarily. I may ask you to, but you better realize that that plus or minus is not there for pretty. It's there to separate the plus side and the minus side. Does that make sense, y'all? Yeah? Okay, let me do something real quick. Oh, I don't want that. No, I didn't want that. Oh, well. It's not what I wanted. See if I can just get this out of the way here, but keep it. Okay. All right. So that's over there. Okay. Let's continue then. B. Let's add 4 to both sides. Now I know what you're going to say. Moro, that is totally factorable, dude. You're right, dude. You're right. I would not use a quadratic formula for this on a test or a quiz. I would not. Sir? Okay, you could leave it right here as plus or minus, but sometimes I'll tell you, write both answers separately. And I want you to understand that you got to do the plus side and the minus side. Thank you, sir. So again, I know that you can factor this, guys, and I would on a test or quiz. But the whole point of today is to go through the quadratic formula. So A is 1, B is 4, C is 4. So negative B plus or minus square root of B squared, which is 16, minus 4 times A. 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 4, over 2 times 1. So this is going to equal negative 4 plus or minus 0 over 2, which is going to equal negative 4 over 2, which equals negative 2 straight up. So my x-intercept is negative 2. And this makes sense because it's a perfect square trinomial. That's x plus 2 squared. When I do the zero product property, I'm only going to get one answer, and that's negative 2. Is it making sense, y'all? Pretty simple, right? Yeah, pretty simple. Okay, next. I know. I can factor this. Yes, sir. Yes, for the quiz or the test, you're going to have to memorize the formula for sure. Absolutely 100%. Okay, again, I know you can factor this, but the whole point is to use a quadratic formula. A is 1, B is 6, C is 9. Negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A. Again, we're going to get a negative 6 plus or minus 0 in this case over 2. So x equals negative 3. Has one solution only. For D, A equals 1, B equals 4, C equals negative 3. Negative B plus or minus B squared, which is 4 squared 16, minus 4 times A times C over 2 times A, which is 1. So that's negative 4 plus or minus. 16 plus 12 is 28 over 2. Now, here come your radical skills. 28 is 4 times 7. So this is negative 4 plus or minus 2 square root of 7 over 2. Again, old school stuff. This 2 can go divided into this and to that. Not the radical, but the coefficient in front of the radical. So my final answer here would be negative 2 plus or minus square root of 7, which can be broken down into negative 2 plus square root of 7 and negative 2 minus square root of 7. Does that make sense, y'all? Talk to me, please. Pretty simple, right? Talk to me, my man. Talk to me, talk to me.
No, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. May I continue then? Thank you, gentlemen. Now, I had mentioned before the discriminant. What is so special about this discriminant? Think about the word discriminate. When you discriminate, you kind of put people into categories, right? Kind of. I'm not saying it's a good thing to do, but when someone discriminates, they put them into separate categories. It's kind of like what you're doing here. The discriminant of the quadratic equation or function, again, in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, is the value of the expression inside of the radical, b squared minus 4ac. Inside. You don't have to worry about the radical sign, but the inside part, that's the discriminant. What does the discriminant tell you? Well, my friends, if the discriminant equals 0, you have one solution. If you think about it, didn't we prove that here? What was the discriminant? What was the inside of the radical in that case? 0. So you had one solution. See what I'm saying? Why do you have one solution? Because when the discriminant is 0, that means that you're only going to hit the x-axis one time. Remember, we've already been talking about the fact that the whole point of these is to find the x-intercepts. You can have 2 x-intercepts, 1 x-intercept, or no x-intercepts and have no solution, no real solution. When the discriminant b squared minus 4ac is larger than 0, when it's greater than 0, you have 2 real roots. For example, these 2 right here. 2 real roots. I gave you an example here. You know how to read, plug it into the formula, and do it. We're going to do some together right now. I just wanted to show you what to expect. If b squared minus 4ac, the discriminant, is less than 0, if it's a negative, there's no real solution. There are imaginary solutions, but imaginary solutions are not on the graph. So as you can see here, there's no intercepts. There are no x-intercepts. So that doesn't mean there's no solution. That's wrong. It means there's no real solution. Does that make sense? Promise? Okay. And last but not least, if you have a perfect square, okay, if b squared minus 4ac has a perfect square, you have 1 or 2 real rational or easy roots. What does that mean? That means this. When I have, let's say that I have, for example, in this case right here, I've got negative 1 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 6. That's 1 plus 24. That's 25, okay? Square root of 25, that's going to be a positive, right? So you know you're going to have two solutions. However, you could have one if it was a perfect square. It goes back to the following. If I have, let's say, x squared plus 4x plus 4, I know that's a perfect square. That's going to factor out to x plus 2, which when I set it equal to 0, x can only equal negative 2. Now, why does it say one or two rational easy roots? Because technically, doesn't that really mean it's x plus 2 times x plus 2? So there are two solutions. The solutions are negative 2 and negative 2. But these two solutions are the same solution, so it's just known as one easy solution. So if the discriminant equals 0, one solution. If the discriminant is greater than 0, two solutions. If the discriminant is less than 0, no real solutions. Good job. Okay. What is the number of solutions of real solutions of each equation? All right? My A is 2, my B is negative 3, my C is 7. Just worry about the discriminant right now. They didn't tell you to solve, did they? Why do you use this? Because sometimes you look at something crazy and you say, okay, let's see if it's even worth going for. Let's see if there's even a solution. Yes, sir. You can't say that this is one solution until you plug it in. B squared is 9 minus 4 times A times C. There's going to be 9 times negative 56. So that's going to be a negative. So this is, the discriminant here is less than 0. So here there are no real solutions. It's always going to be set equal to 0, son, because we're finding the x-intercepts. That doesn't mean that the discriminant equals 0. You with me on that? The discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. This being equal to 0 does not mean the discriminant equals 0. I am setting the y equal to 0 so I can find my x-intercepts. To find the number of solutions that I have, I must put it into my discriminant. You got to put it into standard form, though, always. This is already in standard form, and I plugged it in. 9 minus 56 is going to be negative 45. No.
49.
No, 47. So that's negative, that's less than 0, no real solution. Here, first subtract the 6x and the 5, so I can get into standard form. Now, plug it into my discriminant to see how many solutions I have. So, b squared minus 4 times a times c. This is going to be 36 plus 20, which is positive 56. So it's positive, it's greater than 0, two solutions. Does that make sense, guys? Are you with me here? All right. Yes, sir. I'm sorry? Okay, let's say you're looking at a problem on an SAT or even in this class. And you say, wow, dude, this looks really confusing. Can't you really quickly do the discriminant and find out if there even is a solution? If you do the discriminant and you find out there's no solution, can't you stop immediately and say, no real solution? Saves a lot of time, doesn't it? Thank you, my brother. Sir, why are there two solutions for B? Because isn't 56 greater than 0? So if the discriminant is greater than 0, I have two real solutions. If it's equal to 0, I have one real solution. If it's less than 0, I have no real solutions. Okay, next. The revenue R received by a company selling X specialty, shouldn't be specialty t-shirts per week is given by the function R of X equals negative 0.005 X squared plus 30X. How many t-shirts must be sold in order for the revenue to be $25,000 per week? You are allowed to use a calculator for this because businessmen use computers and calculators. What they cannot do for you is set up the equation. There, you have to do that. But I think I want to be fair, so I'm going to let you, it's not cheating, I'm going to let you use the calculator because some pretty crazy numbers. So, for A, they want their earnings to be 25,000. That's what R of X is, correct? So plug it in. 25,000 equals negative 0.005 x squared plus 30x. I have to put this into standard form. Give me one. Okay, so thank you. So let's put this into standard form. Subtract 25,000 to both sides. Please, guys, come on now. So now I set my y equal to 0, and I have negative 0.005 x squared plus 30x minus 25,000. I know it's ugly, but who cares? You have calculators. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times, oh no, I put an extra 0, times c. All of it over 2 times a. Now, this may seem complicated, but it's not. Follow my suggestion. First, complete what's inside the radical. So on your calculator, 30 squared, I would do minus parentheses 4 times negative 0.005 times negative 25,000. Oh, sorry, hold on, I hit accidentally. Okay, times 25,000. That's going to equal 400 inside of here. Okay? That's the beauty of a calculator. 0.005 times 2, that's negative 0.01. And wait, yeah, that's correct. Everyone with me so far? So this comes out to be negative 30 plus or minus 20 over negative 0.01. This comes out to be negative 30 plus 20 over negative 0.01, comma, negative 30 minus 20 over negative 0.01. Does that make sense? Promise? Okay, so now, what are my solutions? Negative 30 plus 20 is negative 10. Negative 10 divided by 0.01. No, it's 0.01. 0.10. No, guys. 0.005 times 2 is 0.01. So like I said, negative 30 plus 20 is negative 10. Negative 10 divided by 0.01 is positive 1,000. Or, okay, I heard someone say what? Talk to me. There's no fear here in this class. All you got to do is talk to me. Ask me, what's going on? No? Okay. Negative 30 minus 20 is negative 50, and 50 divided by 0.01, it's going to be positive 5,000. Does that make sense? Yes, sir. Yes, of course you could have just moved the decimal place 2 places to the right. Yes, sir. 100%, and I'm very proud of you. Does that make sense, y'all? All right. Thank you very much. Oh, actually, wait, I have one more. Hold on. Okay. So, easy enough. I got one more to do. I want you to do this on your own, though, please. Okay, I know some of you are laughing. You're saying, yeah, we're never going to do that. Okay. I know you guys very well. But let's see. In this case, just do it. The answer will be 3,000. Okay, I'm not being lazy. I want you to do it on your own. The answer will be 3,000. Let me do this last one real quick because this is very important. This is SAT stuff. A window designer wishes to design a window so that the diagonal is 20 feet. In addition, the length of the window needs to be 4 feet more than the height. Okay, so I have a rectangle. I have a diagonal that I want that's 20. It says, in addition, the length of the window needs to be 4 feet more than the height. So you know me, I love tables. We know nothing about the height. So we'll call that x. The length is 4 more than the height. So that's x plus 4. So the height is x. This is x plus 4. And a rectangle, hopefully you remember, that's a 9-degree angle. Right, guys? Now, we just finished learning the Pythagorean theorem, didn't we? So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is when the quadratic formula comes in very handy. You'll see why. It's going to be x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 400. 2x squared plus 8x. Subtract the 400 to both sides. And what are you going to get? You're going to get negative 384, right? Equals 0. Divide by 2. X squared plus 4x minus 192, right? Yeah, 192. Okay, now, some of us may look at that and say, oh, that's easy, I can factor that. Some of us may not. That's where the quadratic formula comes into play. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c over 2 times a. Again, you will be allowed to use your calculator for this. The calculator can't set it up, just solve it. So real quick, negative 4 plus or minus 4 times 192, a negative times a negative is a positive. That's 768 plus 16 equals 784 over 2. And that's your answer. Okay? Now, I can't simplify. We're just running out of time real quick. But the square root, why don't you guys do that for me? Solve that on your own, okay? And you let me know what the answers are going to be. Huh? 28? So I got negative 4 plus or minus 28 over 2. Please listen. So I got negative 4 plus 28 over 2, and I got negative 4 minus 28 over 2. So that's 24 over 2, which is 12. And this is negative 32 over 2, which is negative 16. You cannot have the side be negative. So my answer is 12 feet. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Hope you learned a lot. Get out of here. Thank you. Bye-bye, guys.